Hello, everybody. Sunsfan here with Impetuous Panda. Could you pick a longer nickname, for God's sake? They could barely fit in your freaking jacket, man.
I tried Impetuous Alligator, but it was just too long, so I had to go with Panda instead.
Understandable. Actually, we're just going to get right into this game. I am super hyped for this, unless it ends up being a disaster for Xixo, because I want these aggro decks to actually live a long, juicy life.
I am surprised the panel said it's going to be 6-0 in a best of 3. Maybe a bit, too optimistic, but I think just in 3 games it might not be possible. But Axe into Zeus, that is a good start for 6-0.
Not bad, not bad. I mean, that's kind of what you want. Of course, Frozen teching a bit against this with, well, what did he actually put in? The extra at any cost, right? To try to take out this early game from this rush deck, as it were. And 6-0, his list is a little bit different than Hoi, as we kind of talked about before. The Hourglass is teched against the... we don't get to see phase boots this game. Next game, though.
That's going to be the game we really want to see.
I'm going to be extra hyped for that one.
We see 2 untested grunts. Going to be great, but not in the Zeus lane because of the piercing damage from the AoE piercing damage from Zeus. Going to go for the black lane instead, and we see Phantom Assassin. A wide lane, kind of a perfect lane to play this early.
Oath.
Not the Oath. But the early untested grunt, a body on the board, a very weak body, but when it's uncontested, there's no kind of burning oil in the tower or anything. You can just go straight for smork damage right away, and that's going to go down to 30 already. Turn 1, I mean, not too bad.
These games are going to go by decently fast, of course. Frozen's going to try to play defense as much as possible until he can actually get online. And depending on how fast his combo actually comes up, that we're going to see how consistent that can be against. Well, actually, I want to see how consistent this rush deck is even.
And the mana curve is just so low. 6 mana being your highest card. That doesn't happen in any deck. You always have that kind of, maybe even just 1 or 2 Time of Triumphs or Sprinkler Trap, for example. But Xixo and Hoi both going super aggro and trying to end games very quick.
I mean, in my aggro decks, they weren't consistent enough. They felt too cheesy, so I had to put in like Time of Triumphs, but then they end up being slower. So you got to find that delicate balance, and this is one of the most aggro decks I've ever seen.
6 gold for 6-0, but no Hourglass able to be bought just yet, which would be huge in this matchup. So just a tiny bit away, maybe an extra hero kill. Maybe if the draw goes first lane, Axe, and once again do his magic and get another kill. A little bit more gold as well.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but he'll rack up the gold nicely, I do believe. Sorlakan, do you want to go mid, my friend? I think you do.
The creep's going there. You're going to be wide enough to pretty much just almost 100% not curve into that one creep. And if Drow does go into that lane, you still trade favorably with Drow.
Right.
So I think it's definitely correct to go mid lane. And now this mid lane is the one where you normally see it taken down in 2 turns. Because you get the Oath, you get the Untested Grunts, you get maybe not this turn, but the next turn. If Frozen can't stop it with some kind of ramp annihilation or some kind of at any cost, like you mentioned, it is not in hand. So it's going to be hard to stop that.
Yeah, 20 damage. Oath comes down. That's going to be an extra 12. Not enough to actually finish it off yet, though, which is unfortunate, but we're talking about turn 2 here. Can't ask for much more than that.
The curve, unnecessary, no items in the hand for Frozen, so no chance to really heal that draw up, and no Soul of Spring either included in this blue-green deck, so that's going to save, save extra damage, but really unnecessary there for Frozen. 6-0 can pump this Mercenary up to 5 attack, but it won't be enough to get the kill anyway on the Druid, so the Ramp's going to stick on the board for now.
I mean, you could do it to buff the HP so it trades favorably at some point. It remains to be seen how, I mean, like you talked about, he really wants the Hourglass, and with this kill, he'll have enough gold if it pops up. So he's just going to pass for now. And March of the Machines, a very, very important card in this matchup because of the swarm potential from Frozen. And especially if you cast Oath, you can still cast the improvements in lane, so that's always a nice synergy.
And this is a hand that definitely is, somewhat enabling the Oath. Also, exactly the next mana turn, you can't play March of the Machine, so you don't slow down your game plan at all, basically.
Did you just play 2 Untested Grunts instead, though? Is that
I think you have to.
More consistent?
I think it's more consistent. It widens the board a lot, makes it a lot harder to stop, but it plays into at any cost. I mean, Sorlakan, 6 health, both Grunts, 2 health each. Legion at 5 health with 1 armor is exactly 6 as well, so if Frozen finds the at any cost with Zeus and Ogre Magi both coming off deployment next turn, it could be massive.
Yeah, that is definitely what he's afraid of. Of course, Xixo does have 3 Revtel Signet Rings that can help him live through that if he finds the initiative as well.
Or even the Hourglass. He's at 12 gold already. He has the chance on that Drow kill from the Axe to get the Hourglass, the first Hourglass online. And Frozen hasn't really unlocked his combo yet. He still has to draw all his cards once he plays Lemene. So we see a Foresight, we see an Arcane Assault. The Hourglass can really slow that down.
And Ignite could be a pretty good choice for this mid lane at some point as well. I mean, depends on how much defense he wants to play in this mid lane. We see some players in the past kind of ignore Sorlakan, and that has proved very detrimental as she will absolutely destroy that tower of theirs. Aghanim Sanctum is popped with, or not popped, but drawn with the Foresight.
The Ignite could be kept in hand to maybe counter an Evermore. If Xixo commits too much to that mid lane, plays an Evermore, the Ignite could be massive. And there's the Hourglass finally coming on for Xixo. His teching paying off, being able to kind of counter the card draw from Frozen, which is one of the two big elements in this, you know, kind of infinite combo with Salamene.
All right, Tinker, first lane, I presume. Doesn't really tank very well against creeps. We'll have a free lane to actually hit the tower if there's no heroes going there. But, of course, Frozen will have to try to defend that as well. Now, the question is, how much will Frozen commit to this mid lane? It's going to put an Ogre Magi. Of course, you don't have enough for the Annihilation yet, but as you talked about, at any cost if drawn.
And the Tinker as well in that range for any cost. So this could be absolutely huge.
Very risky.
The Treant and Zeus both going first lane kind of indicate that Annihilation isn't in hand because you do have the ramp from Rosy Druid. It would be a possibility this turn. Instead, and there's the Annihilation top deck.
Yep.
But not at any cost.
Exactly.
And you don't have the ramp in the second lane, so only 5 mana, can't play Annihilation just yet. And here it would maybe make sense to stall, but with Treant also in the lane, you kind of maybe want to develop your Sanctum. But we see the Demagicking Maul as well, another tech choice from Xixo in hand already. Not a clear option right now, but could be in the next few turns.
No, trying to save initiative here is Xixo. Of course, there's an Arcane Assault if he really wanted to gain it, but with no at any cost in hand, remains to be seen how important he feels this defense in the mid lane is. I mean, Ogre Magi looks to be basically dead. Of course, 5 mana in the mid lane, so no Annihilation to come. Can set up maybe an Aghanim Sanctum somewhere first. Going to go for Diabolic Revelation.
Trying to maybe draw into the
That's
any
true.
cost. It
That's
could
true.
be huge.
Ignite.
Doesn't find it. He has 2 of them in deck, does not find it. So unfortunate for Frozen. Again, doesn't have mana ramp either. He has a Sanctum to refresh, but no Stars Align. He has no Salamane's favor. So there isn't really a chance to ramp up into that Thunder God's Wrath, into the Emissary, trying to take control over this game early on.
Yeah, Xixo's very scared of this at any cost now. But because he has initiative, he can play the Hourglass on a hero to survive through it. But still, that's going to be... It would, in theory, be very damaging towards him, but as a result of not drawing it, he should be able to take this tower mid on turn 3.
Now look at the mid tower. I mean, 12 HP already. That is so weak. And Ignite can't really do too much. I mean, or Ogre Magi can't really do too much. You can cast Ignite still, but...
Okay, not afraid of the at any cost. He's going to put down another Mercenary Exiles. Here comes the Aghanim Sanctum.
And this could be a double Ignite into the mid lane to try and kind of stop those very weak untested grunts. You mentioned it at 2 health. The heroes would survive, but a lot of damage in that mid lane. And it stops the Ancient Kill potential as well, with an Evermore possibly coming online later on, and the Oath as well.
Yeah, I definitely expect that to come. And obviously, losing your tower is not the greatest, but you have to do you do have to plan for the future, because this is a deck that can go 80, as we've talked about many a time.
And even if Xixo doesn't go for the Ancient Kill, he still has the potential to really push through the second lane, the second tower, and take that down instead. So instead, going for Arcane Assault, maybe still looking for the at any cost. Doesn't find it for the second Sanctum instead. So
he's drawn like 4 cards this round.
He's really fishing for it, because it would be just insane value in the second lane.
Indeed. You could pump up this Mercenary Exile now that you don't have initiative to play the Hourglass, so does he value the extra 2 damage coming out? You get the extra tip.
If you get the kill, I mean, it does synergize with March of the Machines. You can play that into this lane and then get the upkeep kill on the Treant. So, and the Roseleaf Druid, you deny a lot of ramp and a hero as well, plus the gold you get from that. So it could definitely be worth it. I think it was definitely correct play from Xixo.
He wanted to use this in the mid lane, of course, but he's assuming that at any cost is here, so he's just assuming everything's going to die. But he'll be very, very pleased to see that that is not the case. So this will be a tower for Xixo very early on, and the kill onto the Ogre.
And looking at his hand as well, the Oath is a possibility, but you're already going to take down this tower in theory, so you don't really need the extra damage this turn at least. And March of the Machine is just the viable option. 6 mana cards, also Coup de Grace and Berserker's Call, can't be played yet, so it's very, very obvious, and obviously the upkeep kill just can't be stopped really.
Yeah, this is a very, very good start for Xixo. And now that that Hourglass is online, the draws are going to be even slower for Frozen. He does have some high-end ones, of course, Annihilation being the most notable, but does not have the at any cost, and no... is he playing... Yeah, he's playing Stars Align. 3 of them has not drawn. I feel like every game we see people with 2 to 3 Stars Align. Frozen just not finding the draws right now.
Maybe
There's
just
a March.
Not born with luck, like you mentioned. Some players are, some players aren't. Frozen is, though, not running Salamene in his favor, just running the Stars Align as ramp, so kind of not pigeonholing himself too much into the ramp strategy, instead trying to get a more balanced, consistent deck.
This is scary, though, because you don't have a blue hero coming here for another 2 rounds. You can Oath into... If he draws another Oath, potentially, that, who knows? That might be that might just be game.
There's the first Ignite respecting that possibility.
He's gonna have to do both though. from the first lane.
And he
or the
has
second one from the
double
first lane.
Sanctum in the first lane, so really committing his resources to the first lane. I like it a lot. I think in this deck, first lane priority is extremely important. We mentioned Thunder God's Wrath kind of being a cross lane spell because it affects every single hero, regardless of the lane. It's not kind of like Assassinate where you can clearly see its cross links with the arrows, but still affects everything. And playing that from lane 1 can lock out your opponent out of plays for the next 2 turns in lanes 2 and 3 if you manage to wipe the whole board. And we see a very weak Sorlikon, a fairly weak Tinker and Legion Commander if you get double Thunder God's Wrath, and they are both in hand.
Yeah, okay. Interesting use of March of the Machines in this lane, so wants to defend this as well. So if a second Ignite is played here, it's only going to take out 2 untested Grunts, because we do have a Demagicking Maul that can be used to get rid of one of those bad boys.
But again, no blue hero in lane 1.
Yeah.
You only have the tree, and you have to wait an extra turn because of the huge kill potential from this red-black aggro deck, but also hero killer deck because just the bodies on red-black and the attack you can pump out.
Where are these creeps going? Nope. 2 in the first lane for Xixo, which, I mean, that's still fine.
Now, if you draw a second
Oath?
or an Evermore, is that lethal? It may be lethal.
It's possible. I mean, you lose the untested Grunt, which is huge, right? We're assuming that the second Ignite's going to go there.
Draw's going to come down to the mid lane because Frozen respects the chance, especially with the double and Evermore included in this deck after the top 16. He respects the chance that this is, a much higher chance of getting the lethal. And Xixo also runs 3 Oaths. We mentioned how it could be clunky, but it also gives you a much more consistent top deck.
That is amazing positioning for Xixo, though. Drow ends up in front of an untested Grunt. There's the second Oath.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, this is going to be dirty. And of course, can use Potion of Knowledge if needed. This Treant is going to die to the upkeep. Do we have a Gust in hand? We do. So
if only there was a black hero in this lane, that would be lethal already. But there is only Axe, so Axe can play Berserker's Call into nothing. I'm not sure you want to kill, the air. I think it's not the greatest play.
Might as well use Potion of Knowledge here now because you don't have initiative. And 2 Aghanim Sanctums just being wasted right now in theory. But the Gust will come. So no Oath is going to come out in this mid lane in all likelihood.
The duel, though, could come in.
If no Gust.
If there's no Gust, if Frozen does not respect the potential of double Oath, the duel could come in and then a second Oath just to start. But then a second Ignite would probably come in from the 3rd lane.
Right.
So it would be tough to defend. But again, next turn, 7 mana, double Sanctum, blue heroes coming in, no green heroes, so the stars align. Ramp is kind of not going to be there. But
okay, he's using Demagicking Maul here. I mean, yeah, that's amazing value, obviously. And the fact that so many resources have to be expended from Frozen to actually defend the mid lane and now the first lane, this is definitely the right move. You don't need to put all your eggs in one basket. And I assume a Gust is coming, but you never know.
If he doesn't do it, the Legion Commander would survive after the duel, would die next turn to the upkeep kill, but you can push a lot of damage onto this tower just to make it so your opponent has to defend.
Plus the fact that it will disable the Gust, that is, the laser, which in theory would be lethal onto the Drow Ranger, so I fully expect the Gust to come out. But it's not a feel-good Gust because Frozen doesn't even know what's in the hand. Ooh, goes for the Unearthed Secrets in the 3rd lane.
You can disarm, only 3 mana available. Gust isn't available anymore, so you can disarm with Tinker and then play double Oath. It won't be lethal, I think, but it will be very close.
Why is this here, though? Why in this lane? Why not? Is he running Smash? He's not even running Smash.
He's maybe expecting a second Maul. There is an item in hand for Xixo.
Yeah.
But this is going to be very close to lethal. It's going to be 71 damage after the double Oath.
There's no reason you don't play double Oath here. 100%.
Just putting an Ancient down to 10 HP, it makes it like you have to defend it every single turn after this one.
That is very surprising.
And now Frozen may be regretting not playing the Dust, maybe not giving enough respect to this list where you can, it's only 30 damage now, but 2 cards later, it could be 71 damage hitting this tower. 20 extra damage from each Oath coming down. The Drow will survive, which I'm not even sure it's the greatest thing, really, because you're kind of stuck in this lane.
Oath number 1, and the inevitable pass from Frozen into Oath number 2. That's going to be 20 more damage. That's 9 damage away from lethal, if my math is not horrendous.
The Thunder God's Wrath from lane 1 will, in theory, clear out everything on the board.
At worst case, he has to put a blue hero here to annihilate, right? But that's fine for Xixo. That's a 9 damage tower, or Ancient at that point. But the first tower is what you really need to worry about as well for Frozen.
Now, because you're playing red-black, Xixo, you don't really have access to something like Gust. Something like Enough Magic is not included in this deck list, so you can't really stop with initiative, something happening in the first lane. You have something like Duel, but it's only a single target. So if both blue heroes go to the first lane, it's almost guaranteed that Thunder God's Wrath will come down.
Yeah. And Leather Armor will keep Drow alive right now, but with the second Oath, that is not going to be the case. That's a dead Drow, and 71 damage on turn 3 to the Ancient. This deck is ungodly. I love it.
And even if you kill the hero with Thunder God's Wrath, the creeps are still going to be there. And
okay, I'm dumb. I forgot about the Martian machines hitting the tower. It's going to proc both on their secrets.
That's very
Makes
true.
sense.
It's I mean, it's a subtle thing.
Yeah,
People
it
expect
is,
it's only combat phase damage, but any sort of damage, even from trebuchets, for example, or unsupervised artillery, will also proc the Unearthed Secrets. And this gets really scary in the second lane. The heroes will die to Thunder God's Wrath, but these creeps will survive. They won't have the Oath boost because there will not be a black hero in this lane.
You don't need much damage, though,
but
right?
only 9 damage, and the 200. The Ignite will kill them, actually, so never mind. It will clear out.
There might be a
lane.
couple creeps coming in, regardless.
One creep will survive with 4 attacks, so we're going to slowly chip down that tower.
You think about taking Hero's Cape here?
No.
Okay, no. Apparently not.
You won't be able to equip it before Thunder God's Wrath happens in the first lane because of the priority, so it just doesn't make much sense.
All right, 2 creeps in the mid lane.
That is big. It won't be lethal, though, once the Ignite and Thunder God's Wrath comes down.
Right, it's only going to be 4 damage because no Oath, or no black hero to actually apply Oath.
Well, it'll be 6. One of the creeps will survive, the 10-3 creep will survive, and then the 2 coming in as well. So 6, not more than 9 just yet in my world, so Frozen will survive one more turn, and this is the kind of the turning point.
But you have to put a hero mid as well, which is unfortunate for Frozen.
Do you have to, though?
At some point, yeah. I mean, you're going to put a Treant or a Drow mid instead?
Are you gonna annihilate, though, into
well, I don't think
3 creeps?
I don't think you annihilate. Perhaps you wait until he commits a hero and then you try to annihilate or something.
It does give you the chance to kind of cast more cross-lane spells, and we see Ignite, we see Thunder God's Wrath, trying to distribute your resources, but this opens up, we mentioned it, there's no AoE clear from Red-Black, but you do have the duel, so one Thunder God's Wrath can come down, but the Sanctum refresh will not happen in this lane. Right. The Axe will duel this Ogre Magi instead.
Yeah, so one Thunder God's Wrath going to be followed by another in the second lane.
And it's almost lethal in this lane as well, so...
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's not looking good for Frozen. That's definitely the case. So, duel, oh, he does have initiative, okay. You probably said that a million times, but duel or Berserker's Call, that's 2 damage away. Demagicking Maul is already applied, so the gold will be spent on Mercy and Axel in that game.
The lethal was, or the Ancient Tower was a possibility, but you just got the first tower instead.
Wow.
Giving up initiative with the Kana lane, I believe it was.
Yeah, I assume. That point, I'm not sure why initiative was given away, but it was, and that was a spanking.
6-0, proving that this deck can do what it has. I mean, the game plan was achieved, basically. You rushed down the tower. Ancient Kill was there with the Oath in 3 turns, like you mentioned, and if you commit resources to the second lane, you're giving up the first lane, and Axe was... I mean, also, Axe had a lot of great matchups. Every single round, he was killing a blue hero because of his strength and taking very little damage as well. Yeah,
so Frozen's going to have to go back to the drawing board, and... I mean, that at any cost. If it was picked up, though, this game would be totally different.
Totally different. And he tried. He cycled his whole... He gave up playing double Ignite in that first lane, trying to fish for that, the 2 at any cost, not just one that he put into his deck. Couldn't find it. The top deck wasn't there, and Xixo was able to rush that down very quick. We're going to go into this second game, and Xixo might just take this and make this maybe the fastest series of the tournament.
It's possible, but he does need to get the draws, and Frozen needs to not get the draws, which... Obviously, we've seen a lot of people play this deck that have gotten it, so it's actually nice to see the other side of the coin, actually.
A bit of a slower hand for both players. There's no double untested grunt this time for Xixo, no Oath. Yeah. Still great drops in the 4-mana range with Tyler Estate. Going to slow down that ramp. Legion Standard Bearer as well. And the duel coming in early sometimes could be clutch. Frozen's hand, not looking fantastic. No Sanctum to refresh mana early to get full value.
This is a repeat, by the way, of Game 1, except Axe and Zeus are going to face off in the mid lane instead. So that's obviously great for Xixo. I mean, that's part of the issue with running these really weak heroes early. They're going to be very weak early in terms of HP and damage, and Axe just eats everybody up. There's a reason he's the most expensive hero in the game. He is, right? Or is it Drow? No, it's Axe.
It might be Axe.
Yeah, he's like 20 bucks or something.
And
he's a beast.
A repeat. If Xixo continues to find these flops, again, Frozen can play around this by trying to dodge it by playing his heroes in a lane that doesn't have an open matchup against a red-black hero, but it's hard. It's something you have to contest the lane you have to go into no matter what to just use your mana efficiently. So if Axe continues to find these matchups, it's huge for the early game. And the early game is what Xixo cares about the most, because you can just push down towers and take over before anything comes online for Frozen. No Salamene, no Emissary. We didn't see any of that play last game.
Exactly. And Xixo has ways to prevent Frozen from coming online. We see the gank in hand already, which I expect to be used in this next turn. The Tireless State Sensor obviously downs the ramp just a bit. And Duel can be used to take out Treant Protector right away if he wants, or if Drow Ranger goes to that lane, that's probably what will happen. And the initiative is with Frozen, though. And of course, Diabolic Revelation can't even be used because it's just going to kill Treant and the Kana this round.
That would not be a good play to make, I think. Axe being, Drow going to dodge the Axe, but leaving that lane open. And again, we can see maybe Sorla Khan coming into that second lane, a repeat of last game, where because you get the extra hero kill in the turn 1, you have the extra hero presence in the turn 2, and you can take over one of the lanes.
So is there any reason to think about not, like, let's just say you have the opportunity to duel Drow Ranger. Do you actually want to kill 3 heroes at the same time? That can actually be detrimental to you in terms of deployment later. But at the same time, you are playing a super rush deck.
They deploy turn 3, and last game, turn 3 was basically the last turn.
Yes,
so
that's true. That's true.
It would be, we have to, see all the different lines, but it could be.
Sorla. I was expecting her to go mid lane, but going to go into the first. So Drow Ranger might be in some trouble, and indeed that is the case. So no duel even needed, in theory, to actually take out these 2 heroes.
Could see a gank as well, possibly just to open the tower damage directly. The gank onto the, the 2 armor will save.
Oh, that's true.
Drow Ranger for now.
Yeah. But there is a banana hammock in hand, so.
I'm not sure that's what we're going to call it. I think it's only you and Mogwai. I'm going to call it
that's our special thing? Okay.
A lot of early game plays, Tyler State Sensor, 2 of them already in hand for Frozen. Frozen seems to have lost connection to the internet.
Uh-oh.
That is not good.
That is not good. Who can pause is the question.
We can't pause, so don't look at us.
I think did they get rid of the pause function?
I'm not sure. I haven't played much Artifact. I've been casting
That's true. I have been wanting to play so bad, but we just don't have time. Oh, I did get to go back into the game and kind of refine my decks that were apparently just garbage compared to the pro players. So that's always nice.
You're prepared for this next week.
Yeah, taking inspiration from Hoy and Xixo for sure.
That seems like an auto pass there from Frozen, or Frozen's not here anymore.
So Xixo, of course, can't pause himself in all likelihood. At least I think that functionality was taken out of the game. So all he can do is try to wait as long as possible, but he's going to play something. I mean, you can't just pass.
There may be a repeat of this game. We're not entirely sure what the... I mean, it was looking very favorable for Xixo already with the Axe.
It is very early. Oh, he's back in the game.
Okay, so we're fine. Pro's going to have to play a little bit quicker, but it seems like the time is also...
We also can talk about the Legion Standard Bearer, which there's a couple of in this deck. You can just place that next to Sorla Khan as well, instead of using the short sword if you value that on somebody else. Because I really like short... Okay.
But it enables the tower damage this turn. You gank the Drow Ranger and then just go straight for tower. Although, there's a Roseleaf Druid on the side of Frozen that could potentially trade exactly with the Sorla Khan. So whoever plays first here is huge. Obviously, equipping the short sword gives initiative back to Frozen. And if he now plays an Under Secrets to kind of prepare for the late game, trying to draw that at any cost this time around with the extra card draw. Or, the Roseleaf Druid in the open combat slot opens up now the gank and the tower damage from Sorla to push this first lane even faster.
Okay. Definitely expect that to come down. Tyler State Sensors, 2 of them in hand, which such an MVP creep of this tournament. Something that I never really, I mean, in draft it's always been really popular, but not in constructed. And now we see why it is super good and super valued. Being able to slow down the ramp.
Legion instead, so Xixo trying to take more control of the board, just trying to keep his Sorla a bit healthier.
He's fine killing the heroes for now. He knows that he can burst down the tower pretty much at any time. Although his hand doesn't really, other than Sorla herself, doesn't have Oaths in hand, doesn't have Disciples, anything like that.
And that Legion Standard Bearer giving more attack to the unit on the left and right, but also kind of serving as a Tyler State Sensor, killing the Roseleaf Druid this turn, not enabling the Annihilation next turn.
That's a good point.
Kind of a double function there, and just a great play from Xixo, I think. Bronze Legionnaire pushing this tower. We don't have the Sorla Khan to help push it down to 8 HP second turn, but still slowly taking control with a very strong board presence with Axe and Bronze Legionnaire.
He's looking good everywhere right now. Gank still in hand. PA is going to live by 2 HP with this creep and Kana attacking it right now. And Tyler State Sensor is going to come down to redirect that arrow. No need for the gank yet. It's not really that big of a deal considering that Frozen really can't play much with only 3 mana.
Of course, Xixo doesn't know that, so it could have denied maybe a Sanctum coming into the first lane, or just some sort of mana refresh to help out that first lane, take control.
Yeah, this first lane, again, not looking great. Xixo definitely looking for a Fountain Flask or something to that effect. A duel would be huge onto the Zeus.
But Zeus coming into that first lane with initiative, if it lands next to the Legion Commander, next to the Sorla Khan, 2 cheap spells are played. They both die because of the piercing damage. Even just 1 cheap spell could kill the Legion Commander. That is huge, just denying the red cards in that lane.
So it's a 50-50 on which side Zeus is going to end up.
Now this could be huge for Frozen to take control over this first lane. It's looking very scary already. 26 damage threatened on the tower before the minions come down onto the board. And Tinker going lane 2 to kind of even out the resources for Xixo. Zeus going to land on the right-hand side.
He goes where he wants.
He gets both Legion and you can even Arcane Assault and you have enough mana for Diabolic Revelation, kill both Sorlikon and the Legion Commander.
That's pretty huge. That is definitely very, very huge. And of course, Xixo has no opportunity to respond because he does not have initiative. And then in the mid lane, I would expect a duel onto the Ogre Magi in all likelihood. Here comes a Diabolic Revelation first.
And this allows Xixo to make play this turn, which is it's pretty massive. You could just go for the Arcane Assault first. You are wasting a big tool for later on, maybe to gain initiative, but I think it might have been worth it just to guarantee. You can also, of course, just Foresight now as well. So it's better value to Foresight, but you're giving your opponent an opening to make a play this turn.
Right. Well, Sorlikon's going to equip the Revtel Signet Ring in all likelihood. And the question is, how much does he want to save for initiative on this mid lane? Does he really? He's going to put down the Tyler State Sensor instead.
Massive.
Okay, so nothing can actually be played.
The difference in plays between 4 mana and 3 mana for blue is huge. I mean, we see Foresight and Sanctum and Prey on the Weak and Arcane Assault.
Yeah.
Could have come down this turn, especially the Sanctum. You play it now, you get the full value, you refresh, get the Foresight, and then you have the Sanctum there every single turn, unless a Maul comes down later on.
All right, Potion of Knowledge reveals an untested Grunt into a Signet Ring, of course, to keep Sorlar alive. And again, this lane's looking great, and you can't annihilate next round or anything. I mean, Kana's coming in, but she's not going to do much use. So Frozen kind of stuck with the same plays that he wanted to make in the first lane.
And now if you play Sanctum to the left, you kind of give up on that refresh this turn, which is what's going to happen here. Still going to give priority to the first lane. This lane already looking, pretty scary. 18 damage going down by quite a bit. 11 health going to be left on this tower, and Ogre Magi quite weak as well. You do have Annihilation up next turn, so unless Xixo can kill this Ogre Magi this turn, which he could.
You can do 10 more damage if you play the Oglodi into the Magic Maul. You get Duel off. It's actually a tough consideration. I mean, 11 damage is needed to take out the tower. I don't think he has it right now.
I like the insta-kill onto the Ogre Magi from either Duel or Gank would both kill this very weak Ogre Magi.
Yeah, Oglodi untested. Oh, no, he can't play both. Damn.
And it stops the Annihilation next turn because you don't have a blue hero here. And if you commit a blue hero to this lane next turn, you only have one coming in deployment. So Kana commits here. You give up the blue hero spells in lane 1 with a Sanctum available. And blue is honestly the strongest color. So I love the duel here. Axe takes very little damage, only 1.
And I guess another thing to think about is marching the machines from the right lane to the mid just to ensure. Like if you ever, that's the one thing we've seen, right? When towers get really low, sometimes you can't quite finish them off against the Storm deck, but with marching the machines, you can. And that's definitely a nice luxury to have.
The Grunt could come down here just to push some extra damage. Not 100% needed because in theory, you don't expect your opponent to contest this next turn, but he could. And I think the Maul is going to be staged for lane 1 with the Sanctums already on board, so you have a clear chance to try and even replace a short sword on Sorlikon if you have the opening.
Yeah. So this first lane is definitely going to be the choice for Kana. Yeah, I think you have to give it the mid lane at this point, considering you still have initiative on that side. Frozen.
And Frozen again seems to have lost connection. Something may be going on with his client or his internet connection. And again, this is looking very good for Xixo, but I'm not sure exactly how the tournament rules, what's stated in them, but it could be a rematch potentially for Frozen.
Which is unfortunate for Xixo because this is another great start for him. But of course, it is a good matchup, in theory. I mean, he's moving his heroes, so maybe he's not disconnected.
Maybe he's back. His webcam seems to have lost connection. Maybe it was last turn. We didn't notice because we're watching the observer or the spectator mode. Doesn't have the webcam.
Or maybe the AI is taking over, sentient beings. It's always a possibility.
The bots are stronger.
Do you think the bots are good?
They're pretty strong.
Do you put them on what level? Isn't there like a hardcore where they actually just start cheating?
Compared to other card games, I think they're very strong. I've seen some pretty crazy bots in other card games.
All right, well, we'll see if this ends up getting rematched or not. For the time being, Xixo definitely in control. Had 20-something gold. Has bought the Hourglass along with 2 demagicking Mauls, which is going to be huge.
And Sorlikon does have the opening there. Prey on the Weak could block that. Not many creeps really in Frozen's list. The Portal was taken out, and you only really have the Emissary, Salamene, and the Prey on the Weaks to kind of block damage. So the Magicking Maul, I think, a Tetris that I really like as well. And Xixo finding all of it with the gold, with all the kills he's been getting. 2 Magicking Mauls in hand, and the Hourglass to stop any kind of card draw. And now this is kind of the turning point where Frozen has to stabilize to then ramp into this crazy stuff later on. Yeah,
and the hilarious thing about this is 3 heroes are committed to the first lane, right? And we've forgotten about this right lane because PA is kind of rotting away. But because she's a black hero, she can actually do a lot of damage to this tower with the right draws.
The Prey on the Weak coming down the curve onto that creep, going to kill it as well. Sorlikon very, very weak, but the Fountain Flask is there to heal her up to 10 HP because of that Revtel Signet Ring. And the Mauls are blocked. So Sanctum's going to be here, still available. and the refresh can't happen from Frozen. Like you mentioned, the second lane is already looking super weak. I mean, 5 HP, huge board. You can't really stop this. There's not a blink dagger from Frozen trying to blink and annihilate, for example. And even then, if there was, there's still a gank on the side of Xixo to kind of stop that as well. Like you said, PA also alone in the third lane can take control, can gank, can get value into other lanes. It's looking pretty good for Xixo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frozen is clearly playing the bots, have not taken over just yet. 100%. We've had confirmation it's not the bot. It's 100% Frozen. So
wait, was this a gank onto
the Kana? So
gotcha.
locking Frozen out of blue spells this turn.
Yeah.
The refresh happens, so 5 mana is still available.
So now you force a Zeus here or an Ogre, and then a second blue hero to another lane, which you can threaten this if you have Oath, which of course he does not at this point, or this third lane, which again has just been ignored largely.
And you can slowly take down lane 2 and 3 while casting spells like March of the Machines from both of them to the front lane to take over that lane as well. So the cross lane spells coming in huge for Xixo, controlling every single lane basically, unless the first one gets very contested by Frozen, which it looks like it is going to be. And the March instead going to get the guaranteed kill on that.
So kind of spreading damage throughout the map now. And I actually think Legion's going to go to the third lane because of this overcommittal to the first. Sortlecon, of course, needs this attention. She's a very, very important woman, of course.
And now we could see a March into the first lane. Or we could, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to see. Going to stop the play on the weak.
That's
going to deal a lot of damage to everything, and the charges are going to stack there. So next turn, 4 damage to everything on the lane, including the tower.
Yeah, that is dirty. That is quite dirty. Setting this up for later is, of course, the Hourglass in place, and Xixo is just looking really good.
2 deployments for Frozen. He has to stop 3 lanes, basically.
Yeah.
The first lane is still scary with the March of the Machines clearing out most of this board and Sortlecon potentially going face, and the Maul still in hand.
You have to give up mid. You have to assume he doesn't have Oath. You're playing on the back foot. You see the 2 March of the Machines in the first lane. You see Sortlecon. First lane, at least 1 hero, and you need 1 in the third lane at this point. And just hope to God that nothing is drawn for mid.
At any cost. Still not drawn for Frozen.
That's true.
A perfect
Gotta
board.
play 3 of them, man, you know?
A perfect board in the third lane to stop that, for example.
Yeah.
An okay board in the middle lane to stop that. Axe would survive, but everything else would get cleared out, especially Tinker with his active ability still available. So Xixo looking to really be the dominating player in this matchup and just go face.
Yeah. And the problem is, even if he clears out this first lane somehow with whatever he has, he needs to gain initiative again because Coup de Grace is in hand for this last lane to take out a blue hero, which will likely be used. And there's the split up as expected.
Xixo, his time is pretty low, though. I think that's the only way he loses this now. So
yeah.
Has to be very
Actually,
careful.
funny story. The first time I ever got mad at somebody in game was Xixo because he took forever. And then he told me, I'm sorry, I'm new. I'm like, I'm sorry for getting mad at you. I really apologize, Xixo. There it is. 2 at any cost, but they're both locked.
And there's the Hourglass coming in clutch for Xixo. So again, every single item purchase, I mean, Legion Commander, the Maul's open, the Sanctum's still there.
Yeah.
Even if you play a card, you have to refresh after the card.
Right.
It's the second action. So.
And you might even just want to coup the Zeus when you haven't when it's your turn now.
Annihilation could come down.
Yeah, I would consider Annihilation, as disgusting as that sounds. I don't know. He is way far behind right now.
But then you lose initiative for the rest of your lanes.
Yes.
Coup de Grace is there to stop that Zeus in the third lane. And it's going to look very close in the third lane, actually. 22 HP still means that Phantom Assassin, obviously a hero killer more than a tower taker downer like Sortlecon. So it'll be tough to push that damage now, especially if you're playing Coup from that lane. You can't play Gloaty Vandal and Disciple of Nevermore. But you can push for an Ancient kill next turn.
All right, and he's going to have to. Now, this feels so bad, but it's delaying the game, of course. And if initiative is safe for Xixo, he can take out the Ogre Magi, which, how much damage does he have on top of that? Well, he can't play anything else, so it's not going to be enough for the actual kill on the tower.
But that Annihilation basically means you're delaying the lane you're trying to win, and you're still losing the other 2. You're not really doing much in terms of the board.
All right, giving up initiative to play Disciple, of course, this does make a lot of sense because that's a ton of damage. And into an Oglotti, this is a 2-turn lethal. So again, the Kana, where will you go? You have to go mid. Are you going to annihilate the third lane? If you do, then you won't have one for the second.
But you'll have at any cost, and the -2 armor is going to be huge.
That's
Axe
true.
will survive, but everything else will definitely
But
be
will
an overkill.
will you have initiative?
That's going to be
Coup again.
That's the point.
Because there's no Oath played, so he can play whatever he wants in that lane. Just a lot of questions need to be answered here for Frozen. Pretty much everything has to go his way at this point to come out ahead, because he is just so far behind.
Yeah, it has to be Annihilation. You expect the 6 mana, the 7 mana, you expect the Coup de Grace to be available. You respect it, you annihilate, you stall 2 lanes, you play your potion, you already lost initiative, and now Xixo is the one that has initiative for lane 2. Every other lane is kind of irrelevant at the moment. So no heroes, no
minus creeps, this should be game. Unless there's some god tier arrows, Coup de Grace should take this out.
Double blink for the extra damage on any hero that doesn't already have a weapon in lane 2. Golden ticket for the viewers.
Oh,
trying to spice up this win maybe a tiny bit.
Great. I don't think he'll be playing that. And that should be it.
That's double
no
creep.
creeps for Frozen. He's just hoping to God that coup de grace is not in hand.
You could have blinked from the first lane. I would have liked playing maybe an Ignite from the first lane and then blinking. You already don't have initiative already, so there's no point not to. Even a Foresight maybe to find, I don't know.
Yeah, Ignite.
With the Sanctum Refresh as well, you could have found 2 Ignites. That could have been game-winning, actually. Might have been.
Well, who has the Hourglass? Oh, is he dead? Who had the Hourglass? Oh, yeah, PA's dead. You're right. Yeah.
That would have been a big option
but
from
didn't get it
Frozen.
anyway, so.
Instead, going.
And there we go. And that is.
Oh, the golden ticket got.
I mean, that's what it's there for, right? All right. Well, that is game. 6-0, unless we do a rematch somehow.
You laugh, but that's a viable strategy. I buy items, so I don't discard good cards with coup de grace. It's actually next level stuff.
Yeah. And he doesn't get the blue button, so Frozen not too happy about this, but he got completely dominated. That was. I mean, I wanted to see the Storm deck taken out, and that is exactly what we saw. It was not even close, not even remotely close.
Again, at any cost was kind of the tech choice against his red-black deck.
He never cast it once.
And
right?
it just wasn't there for Frozen, so a few, maybe that was a minor misplay at the end with the Blink Dagger and the Ignite possibility, but again, it's...
At that point, you're probably tilted, though, right?
At that point, you're
just getting shut down in every regard.
It's not even because you don't really have a real chance of winning the game. You could maybe stall it out for one more turn, but still it's looking very, very grim, and that lane was completely under control there for Xixo, so very strong play from Xixo. He played well in the group stage again, bringing his same A game.
I thought he played better here than he did in the group stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hoy played very good, but Xixo maybe a level under, but now Xixo proving that he has also the just perfect play available if he wants on his good days.
That's right. So let's see what the panel has to say about that extremely quick series.